So welcome everybody to Autoreview Deep Dive Part 2. So hello, for those of you who don't know me, I am Tanya Hilt, Certified Professional Bookkeeper, and I'm here because I'm passionate about clean files, and you can find me at Tanya's Bootcamp on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. A little bit about myself. I received my accredited impactful advisor designation in 2021, which I just realized was not on the previous slide. It's an AIA. I am also a level 5 certified advisor through the Mentor Plus program under the tutelage of Jeannie Whitehouse. Insightful Accountant, Top 100 Pro Advisor for 2018, 19, 20, and 21, and the Top Canadian Pro Advisor for 2020. The Intuit Global Firm of the Future for 2018. I'm a volunteer mentor through Futurepreneur Canada and Women in Accounting. I'm also a member of the Intuit Trainer Writer Network, a director at CPB Canada, and founder of Cloud Business Services and Tanya's Bookkeepers Bootcamp. And then we have Hardik. So Hardik, if you just want to tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I see a lot of familiar names in the list, so hopefully most of the people know me. But just a quick introduction. I'm Hardik. I'm co-founder at Zenet. By nature, I'm an accountant. So, I mean, as you can see, the auto review has came out from our own experience. So when I was doing accounting, when I was managing my own clients, one of the passion was always to kind of try out new application, and that's how we got some idea and we created this application, right? So we have Zenet auto review, which is live, Zenet port that is live, and our eventually goal is to create a complete toolkit for the accountants so that we can touch base on every single accounting function and can streamline them. So that's a quick brief as to who we are and what we wanted to achieve.
Awesome. Great. Thank you. So I'd like to start off with a new quote. And this, so I was looking at this quote last night, and this really spoke to me again in relation to auto review. So this is from Carly Fiorina, the former CEO of Hewlett Packard. And she says, the goal is to turn data into information and information into insight. And that's what we do, with our clients. That's the whole purpose. But in order to have that correct information and that correct insight, it all comes back to the data. We need to make sure that we have accurate and clean data. And this is where auto review can really help. So this slide is in here, and I think the next 3 slides are in pretty much all of my auto review webinars. So it may be a repeat, it may be new, because I know we've got several people who had registered for part 2, and we're looking for the link for part 1. So when I send this recording out, I'll actually have both links in the one email. But inaccurate data has a direct impact on the bottom line of 88% of companies, with the average company losing 12% of its revenue. So again, I show this because I think these are pretty staggering numbers. Imagine if your company we're losing 12% of the revenue just due to inaccurate data. So it's so important that we make sure that it's clean and accurate data so that we're not losing, any potential revenue percentage or whatnot. So auto review provides the solution to ensuring accurate data, and making you look brilliant and enabling you to maximize your review process and expand to additional revenue streams. So we're going to get started, and we're just going to do a quick high-level overview. Before we do that, I do want to pop in, and sorry, just pulled this out here. I do want to pop in and just put up a quick poll that I would like to know, because we do have 2 polls today. If both polls are answered, then you will qualify for CPD credits through CPB Canada. So the first question here, just give me a moment here to pop this up. Sorry, for some reason it wasn't coming up. So I'm popping it up right now. So I'd just like to know, were you in attendance for the deep dive part 1? Just yes or no. Nice, simple answer. We'll give everybody a chance. And lots of people answering. We're at 72%. So just a reminder, both polls will have to be answered in order to qualify for CPD. So we've got 80% right now. So I will do a 5 minute count down. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We'll end the poll and I will share the results. So we have got 17% or 5 that are new for this. So don't worry, you will get part 1. So some of this stuff might not make sense because I'm not going to do a lot of review of what we did in part 1. Hopefully you've had a chance to work with Autoreview, but you will get both the links to both recordings in this emails. No worries. Great. Okay, so a high level overview. So this we did go through in the first one. So when you log in, you basically add your clients. It connects currently to QuickBooks and Xero. Sorry, QuickBooks Online and Xero. Clarify that. You invite your team. Start the review process. So you can select the dates here. So if you're using this for a full year review, you can put the full year. If you're using it for a monthly review, you just simply select the month. It's a nice calendar pop-up, which I'll show you when we get in there, that you can pick. If you're doing a full, let's say a 3-year deep dive diagnostic review. So right now this does pull in up to 2 years, I believe. But if you do contact the team, they may be able to let you go further back than the 2 years. And Hardik, is that correct in that, or did I speak at a turn yet?
No, that's right.
Okay, perfect. Okay, great. Okay, so then step 4 is you go through the review and you fix the abnormalities. So they have done a great job. And again, because Hardik, as he said at the beginning, he is an accountant. They built Autoreview to solve their own problems, which is great. And I say this every webinar. I will always say this. I will never stop saying this. One of the reasons I love Autoreview so much is Hardik and his team listen. So if there's something we're looking for, we just let them know. And, if it makes sense to them, they say, yep, okay, it'll go on the list. If it's a quick fix, it'll get done sooner. If not, it'll go on the list for later. So they listen to what we have to say, and we're the ones working with the program, and they recognize this. And I absolutely love that. And that is why they are, one of the reasons why they're my ultimate favorite. But you go through, you fix the abnormalities, and then you end the review process. And it's really nice on that. Did you have anything you wanted to add on that, Hardik, before I move on?
Nope, that's pretty much
Okay,
it. It's
sure.
pretty
Just
straightforward.
you came back, you came back on screen, so I wasn't sure if you had something to say or not. So, all right. So, auto review deep dives from the part 1 FAQ. So I did have one person reach out. So here's the question that we have, and then we can bring people on and basically let's get into some of your questions. Oh, by the way, Liz Alexander seconds that statement. I'm assuming about the fact that you guys listen to our needs, and that's just great. And I think I speak for our whole industry when I say that does not happen very often. So, it just, again, thank you to you guys for just being amazing for that. So, okay. So the question that came to me, Amanda Birch emailed and said, is there a way to set up for the last month date range instead of having to change the dates each time the report is run? So in QuickBooks, you can set it automatically to last month. When you go in here and start the review, so even if I end the review here, I can finalize it. You do have to select the calendar. So it's not a default automatically to last month. Is that something that you guys might consider, Hardik?
So the way it works right now is that, so in this particular case, if you go to practice and if you come back to this client, it should actually come automatically the next month. So if you go to your practice, so your practice, the yeah, can you
Yeah,
click on the,
sorry, I just back to practice. I knew where it was. I'm just
yeah, which is fine. But then if
okay.
you go to that particular client, uh, sample one, can you search? I mean, you can search it as well.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, okay. Now I think
Okay,
it
so
should,
it defaults to last month automatically.
no. So the way it works is that, okay, it should be actually the next month, not. Did you skip October by any chance, or
I may have just used up to October in the last one because again, this is the sample file.
Okay. But
So yeah,
I got the point, so I just noted it down. So
okay.
yeah,
Yeah. And then Taya said there's no last month option when setting up the report and
yeah.
we can see. And that's
So
correct. There is no last month option.
so Amanda says, okay, specifically under the save search view, it does not appear to the last to allow last month report. Meaning, I'm not exactly sure. Last month, as in what?
Well, Amanda, did you want me to bring you in as a panelist? Might make it a little bit easier. Oh, so she has to put, gotcha. So she has to put, they have to put November first. So they can't just pick November.
Okay.
Oh,
So
there. Okay.
instead of
So when I
just
pick
picking,
November,
got it. So I think what probably seems to say is that instead of selecting the entire month, okay, one second. So you to
oh,
put
I think I know what she's saying. But right when you first go through, and you know what, Amanda, I'm just going to bring you in as a panelist just in case. Um, there's anything, just give me 1 second here in case you want to actually I've just allowed you to talk. So there we go. Just in case there's anything. But I think what she means is when
yeah.
we go in and we first started, it says, what day of the month do you do? I actually default to the 31st of every month. So that's maybe why it's showing me here the last month is because I pick that. I think, is that more what you're talking about, Amanda?
So if you go to the saved search view, so we go
Right.
down to the down the left-hand
Oh,
side,
down
the
here.
saved searches
Gotcha.
and the reports down here. It's you have to put in a specific date range. You can't just say always last month. So every month you go in, we have to tell it what date range to use. We can't if we last month we set it for January 1st to 31st and we're in June, it's always January 1st to
Okay.
31st.
I see. So
Oh,
yeah. So can you click on Tanya? Can you click on the plus icon on the saved search?
yep. See, and I don't select that date range when I do it. So maybe
Exactly.
that's why there's a difference. But let's just,
Yeah. So if you don't, so Amanda, what's gonna happen is that if you don't select a data range, what it's gonna do is that whatever month that you are reviewing. So in this particular case, right now we are reviewing November 2021, right? So whatever month that you are reviewing it, it's gonna automatically select it for that particular. So in this particular case, because there is no date range selected, it's gonna consider the month at the top selected as a default, and it's gonna show up the result. Would
Well,
that help?
that's so too easy. Thank you very much. We're now
Oh.
happy.
All right.
well, and that's why I couldn't understand because I'm like, I don't have that. But again, this is why we thought let's do these deep dives because just what, might kind of seem natural to me is not necessarily natural to somebody else because we each work with things different ways and our brains work different ways. And yeah, I've just never done that to see that, but I can see if I saw that, then maybe you would do that. So thank you for asking that, Amanda. Absolutely. And hopefully that answered your concern as well, Taya. And if anybody, just go ahead, raise your hand. I will let you speak because again, we want this to be interactive to be able to learn these things and look for some type of searches. So yeah, so Liz has just said that, yeah, it would be nice to have a last month or last year in the custom search views. But again, I think that might take care of everything. If you don't put the date, it just defaults to the months you've got up here. And again, if I'm
Yeah,
incorrect in
yeah.
that assumption,
Uh,
please raise your hand.
yeah. She is also referring to something else because we've been chatting on Slack separately. So I also hear that. So instead of selecting the specific month, what she also means to say is that it's like you have just like a QuickBooks. They got last month, this year to date. I mean, current month. That sort of predefined criteria. So I understand that, and we are around that. So.
Perfect. Gotcha. Okay, so does anybody have any custom? Okay, and Taya says, yeah, thank you. That takes care of hers as well. And that's awesome. So did anybody have any custom views that they had thought of, or should I just kind of continue to go through all of these and we'll wait and see and people can raise hands as they have questions as we're going through, because I think when we left off, we kind of left off on some of these. So, okay, so Marie, here's a question that Marie submitted last time that she, let's see here. Oh, and then Liz. So Liz, I'm going to allow you to talk, but we're going to deal with, oh no, Liz's hand just came down. Okay, that's fine. But yeah, so Marie's question is she'd like to see a custom search for exchange rates that are 1-to-1, or even just a list of transactions with USD currency with a column for exchange rates. We can easily see what exchange rates were used for each transactions and easily spot any that are off. On the last auto review webinar, you said you added tag or member for USD currency, but that doesn't help. So we actually did figure that out for you. So first off, here's my USD tax codes that I have in here, and we do put USD. So I put that in the memo. So when I'm putting anything through, I put USD, but that only works if you're remembering to put USD either in, Dext or HubDoc or in QBO or Xero, whatever, in the memo description field. So there was another way that we had come up with afterwards that we went off that you could actually easily do this, because again, here the memo is USD. So, and this was one, Hardik, that I think you sent back out as a video, and I want to say, I think Sherry received it. So if we go in here, and what was the foreign exchange, right? For currency? No.
Do you have multi-currency enabled in this account or not?
You know what? I don't have multi-currency on this account, so that would be
But
why.
I'm not sure. If you want, I can share my screen as well, because it's
Sure,
just.
absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
So just a second, I'm just gonna share my screen so that I can, let me know when you can see it.
Yep, nope, that's perfect. We can see it, and that's great.
All right. So what's gonna happen here is that what I did was I kind of selected currency. So in this particular case, what I did was that this is the home currency is set as USD, and I wanted to find out if there's an exchange rate which is 1:1, right? So what I did was I wanted to first of all see the transactions with the Canadian currency, right? So I said currency is not USD, correct? So what it's gonna now do is that show me all the transactions with the CAD currency. Now once that's done, what I did was in the exchange rate I set up that filter. So I see lot many what I call the different exchange rate. So here I can see 0.88. All I did was I just selected one. So anytime if I see one here, that means it's a problematic transactions. The USD and CAD currency rate cannot be one. So I did set up a filter here, and then I set up the filter here just to display the one exchange rate. So you can actually play around also some of these reports like this, and you can generate the report. So I believe this should help you.
Right. So then for the Canadian files, you would put the currency is not CAD
Exactly.
on your
Exactly.
multi-currency files. Yeah. So and that's exactly the reason that I have it set up the way that I have it set up, is simply because that's on like we've got our regular files that we buy, oh, I don't think I'm sharing the right screen. Here we are. That we're constantly buying, like I might sell a service down to somebody in the US and have a US tax code or in US dollars, but not on my multi-currency account, or I might be buying something from US. So this is where we put it in the memo, because I can't do the exchange rate. But yeah, so as you've just seen, if you just do the currency is not CAD, filter for that exchange rate 1-to-1, then that'll pull everything out. Does that answer your question, Marie?
Yeah, she said she confirmed it. So
Okay. Perfect. Awesome. That's great. Okay. And yes, very soon we'll be able to change the colors, Hardik says.
I mean,
And
your
that's
own choice. So
okay. So I'll just take a quick peek and see if so there's no more hands raised. So again, go ahead, raise your hand. I'll just keep going through some of these custom searches and some things that we're doing. And as things pop into your mind as to, something that you might be looking for, like just throw your hand up. And again, we'll be able to come up with the way to properly look for this. So what I did when I just started looking at some of these searches is we stood back and we said, okay, what are our problem accounts? Where are things that could very easily end up getting overlooked? That's what you really want to focus on in your saved searches. So the capitalization limit check, that's a default one. You can go in afterwards and change it. So let's say, you realize, oh, I put the wrong amount in. You can absolutely go in, edit it, and you can change the amount here. You can also add more of the GL accounts because here we've got that they're specifically selected. So yes, we can, here's all the ones that are selected for that. And it's essentially the parent account, even though nothing should be in the parent account, and the original cost one. So we make sure that we put original cost in all of ours. Our wording is the same. It's here's the parent account, then you've got an original cost and the accumulated depreciation. And so therefore, when we go in here to select them, all I have to do is just type in original cost. Everything with an original cost is therefore selected and then put in. Excuse me. So this is where you can do those and you can easily go in and add them. How we work this internally is Sandra and Leanne, they do the monthly checks. I now do quarterly checks. So when I do a quarterly check, I am also not just checking to make sure there's nothing that they miss. I'm also checking to see, did something change in the chart of accounts that may need for these reports to be reconfigured? Maybe we did add a new asset account and therefore we need to go in. So that's part of my job that I then do quarterly for that. Another way to be able to catch that, just in case, is when we go up here, the new supplier customer GL entries. Again, I don't pay too much attention to the new suppliers or the new customers. If there's duplicates up there, that's going to be caught. Maybe something here, maybe I want to know if there's a multi-currency one, but for the most part, it's the new GL entries. This is what we want to pay attention to. So if I go back and again, pull the full history, it'll be able to definitely pull some things in. And so if I see something here in a new GL entry, that's going to tell me, oh, do I need to turn around and add this into some of the other reports? So this should be my first clue, but just in case I've missed that, then we can turn around and I can, again, just add to each of these ones as I'm doing my quarterly review. The review reconciliation discrepancies, this is an automatic report when you set the client up as well. And expenses, I've changed the name of it, the report, but it's expenses over $500 that might need to be capitalized. So here, again, you can go and change the threshold amount. It's got is more than 200 and I've got 500 here. So obviously this needs to be some correcting. So I just change that. And then I can go in and again, I can change. So I can just start to type in like office supplies is something common. So where is something going to be that could potentially be miscategorized? And again, this has several suggested accounts, which it's been really, really good. And I think there's only been once or twice where I've added in another account. Otherwise, the AI does a really good job at picking the suggested accounts for when you set up. I went through the tax code reviews, which was courtesy of Marnie, and Marnie's on the call again, or at least I saw her earlier. And these are basically exactly what Marnie talks about. Anybody who's in Canada has probably and deals with GST HST has probably seen Marnie speak, which I just have to say, Marnie has said a few times that people must be getting sick of seeing her again. Never. And I'm sure there's other people on the call that say every single time we watch you talk, Marnie, we walk away with something new. But these reports were actually her reports in QBO that we've come in and put here, which helps it make it a lot easier for Sandra when Sandra does the GST HST reviews. We can catch us monthly and then she uses these for a deep dive quarterly. So I don't think we need to go into this. So I just want to jump. I see Liz has asked, is the tax code review something that's usable for the US sales taxes? Absolutely, Liz. As long as there's a tax code. So if we look here, we've got the tax code right here. So I just have it sorted by tax code. So all I've done and I've said I want, and I purposely separate the income and the COGS and expenses. I just think it's a little bit easier this way. So the income, we just make sure that all the income are selected. So I just take a look here. So, oh, see, there's an income that's out. So this is part of the quarterly review. I double check if there's anything in there. So the baking sales and then any other income. So there is no other income. So that's great. So I would do that. I would save the changes. And then I sort generally by the tax code. And then of course I then, not tax amount, the tax code. And I don't know why this is funky. And then we go here and then I actually will just do a quick collapse all. And again, there's something going on with my screen. And I don't know why that's still there. So let me just do a refresh.
Yeah, that's strange.
This is what happens when we do live webinars. Things can happen, right? It's just, yeah, it's just how you deal with it. So, okay, so here we go. So back to the tax code review. So then, okay, so it's already sorted by tax code, but you see it's all expanded, but it's strange because we're not seeing the lines are blank.
So what did you do? Did you group it or what?
I don't think I grouped it. Yeah, everything is just.
Yeah, that's strange because.
Here we go. Yeah, that's really strange. Okay, so we'll work with this one. And so here, and I could have very well, when that glitched, I could have done something. So I'll have to look at the settings and whatnot after. I'm not going to take this time. Yeah, Liz says it's gremlins. Absolutely, it's gremlins. We've got, what is it? Who's the real evil gremlin? Spike, I think is his name. He's sitting in here. Anyway, so I like to have this sorted by the tax codes. And you just grab it, pull it up. No, it's doing the same thing. Okay, this is really, really strange. Uh-oh. Yep. I've really ticked off the gremlins. Okay, so let's just try to roll with this. So when this works properly, I did show this in the first video, that at that point you just literally pull that up. So if I were to pull up right here, I have the account. So in these, which I have a feeling if I go back in, they're both going to be blank now. I don't know what's happened here.
Even with this one, what did you try to do?
Well, I did the same thing as here. I pulled the tax code up to go in here. It seemed to double.
Can you close, can you remove that?
I can't. No,
you
I
can't
get rid of them. No, it's not letting me get rid of them.
Never mind, I'll get it checked.
Okay, so I'm not going to do that, but again, we're going to go back to the first one. If I pull that up and then I go in here and I okay, now that option's not there as well to expand and reset. That is just really, really strange. Okay, Pamela says she's got gremlins on hers right now as well too, so it's not just me. So thank you for that. But that's exactly what would happen. You can sort it. So as long as you have something entered in the tax code, Liz, you can absolutely do this in any of them because this is not a Canadian specific thing. This is just strictly by tax code. So as long as you have a tax code, you can absolutely sort by that. So all we're doing is we're going in here again, selecting all the income accounts for that, and then just making sure that my columns are here. So again, when I go through the columns, you know, I make sure that I've got the right ones ticked off here. I make sure that tax code is ticked off, and then I just simply pull that up to sort by the tax code or even by the account. And like I say, I'm not going to mess with that because I don't know what happened with the gremlins on that one. But so that's perfect. Okay, great. So let's pop back here to the question. So Liz says she loves that. That's awesome. That's so exciting that I could teach Liz something as well too. So next it's your turn to teach me something then, Liz, in here. Okay, so Paul's asked, and a hard answer, but I'll just say this out loud. Once you create a report, can you share it to different client files? So right now in the back end, you can't, but I think at one point, and I don't know if they're getting too busy, if you really nice and reach out, they may be able to duplicate it, but I will say that they're actually manually going in and duplicating everything. But you also have to remember that each of your clients might be different. So even if you ask them to go in and set the same up, you might have, as Hardik said, different chart of accounts in each file. So you still have to go through and double check and make sure everything is there anyway. So that would be really nice if we could just do a nice copy, but again, with the chart of accounts being different, you're still having to go in and double check to make sure that you're being really good with that. So then Paul has said all the churches are set up with the same 90% with the same chart of account. So the numbering is the same with that work. So yes, that is something that I will say that the auto review team has been looking into. It's not something that's really easy, because anything that's really easy within weeks or days, sometimes they'll just say, yep, it's there, that capability is there. So that's something that we did actually ask, and I do know, and I can confidently say, if they find a way, they'll definitely roll it out. For sure. Okay, so Liz, I'm going to bring you on because Liz says she has an easy tip to share. Promote to panelists. Okay. Liz, you should be here, I hope. Oh, look at that cat. That's so cute.
Oh, it's always a cat. No, you said you were glad to teach me something. My biggest tip to everybody is, if you are looking for something that you saw, please scroll down and like on your, over there, see how you're scrolled all the way to the bottom. So on your reports, once you start creating a few, we run out of screen space. And I spent a really long time looking for things that were just a matter of scrolling down. So there's your easy tip. As you use this more and more, you're going to start saving a whole bunch of reports and then think you've lost them. So there you go.
Absolutely. And you're right. The scroll, because it's such a light color and sometimes you don't realize. Absolutely use the scroll, or again, go in here and collapse the columns, which I don't know why I can't collapse. Maybe it's because I don't have it set properly but collapse them. And then that way, if you collapse them, you can say, okay, I know this is in this part. So that's great. Thank you, Liz. And if anybody else has some tips that they want to share, please come on, or again, any other report. So we'll just kind of keep going through these. I set up a shareholders no tax report. I don't think we went through this last time. So shareholders or owners draw, absolutely for this, because we do want to see, because look at this one here. Disney Plus HST. Well, we know Disney Plus should be under the shareholders, but it shouldn't be HST. And this can happen so easily. So all we do to set this up is, again, I've just called it the shareholders should be no tax. The general account is shareholders draw. And that's it. I don't want to see anything else, because I want to see this and for the whole period. But I want to make sure that that tax code is out of scope for all of them. So this is, again, a really nice, simple, easy report, because if you think about it, how often, and I would imagine in the States, you probably have the exact same thing when you're dealing with a tax. That can just happen so easily, can just end up getting put through with the wrong tax code. So that's a nice fix, especially if the clients did this themselves, then you're taking over the books or reviewing the books. These are especially important then, because we know clients, they don't know the rules that we know. Suspense accounts. I like to see that the suspense accounts equals 0 for the period. So If it does equal 0, what you're going to see here is under the total. So I like to go in just, sort by account, which I'm afraid to pull this up. Oh, okay, perfect. It works. I pulled it up. It's sorted by here, which is great. But if it was 0, you'll just notice it'll have a little dash at the bottom. So whether you're in perfect, my collapse all, even if you could see here, if it was just a little dash, but I know because it's not, my GST HST suspense account, that's for those in the US, that's where when we file our federal taxes, it shows the filing and it shows the payment. So it should literally be filing payment, filing payment, filing payment. So it should balance out to 0. So I like to check on that for those accounts. Again, clearing accounts. Clearing accounts should be 0. How often do you go in and you realize afterwards, oh, yeah, something is missing from that clearing account? You don't want to go back and catch it at the end of the year, because your end of the year is going to end up being so long because you've forgotten what that is. And then you have to manually track back through everything, and it's a real pain. So here I simply go in, clearing should be 0. The GL account, I click the clearing account. And again, just save changes, pull the account up. So again, you can easily, if it's collapsed, you can easily see the collapse and then uncollapse just the one section. So that's not at 0. So that requires something. So Marie says that yes, unless the clients aren't making the payments on time for the GST, HST, absolutely. But now again, this is going to trigger you to have another conversation with the client that, hey, there's something wrong here. You'll need to take a look and do that. Items without attachment. So I know we're big on this in Canada. I know in the States, you guys aren't as big on this for compliance, but here in Canada, our GST, HST returns, source documents are everything. So when we're doing fully compliant bookkeeping, we're asking for that source documents all at once so that we can put it through, because we have to verify, does it have the, verify the date, the amount, the HST amount, do they have their GST, HST tax number on there? So there's certain things that we're looking for. So we have here just a no attachment account. So it'll see automatically if there's an attachment or not. So if an attachment is no, the GL account is not, and it was easier for me to pick what I don't want it to be. So I picked some of these suspense accounts, or maybe I don't want anything in the depreciation account, or exchange gain and loss, or reconciliation discrepancy, or whatever. So I can go in and I can select those. Again, save my changes. And the transaction type, you'll notice here that I have bill expense and supplier credit, because when it comes to the transaction type, I'm not so concerned about the invoicing. I'm concerned about the receipts, because when we're audited, CRA, they're not necessarily going to audit us as much on the income side, except for they're going to say, hey, do your deposits, and the money you're receiving, does that match the money you say you're receiving? That's about it on that end of things. On the other side of things, they want to see all of that. So a bill, an expense, a supplier credit. This is where we're writing off part of our GST, HST part, or all of it that we're paying out. So this is where I want to see that. So again, this is how we've got that set up. So I've only selected the accounts that I want to see. Again, I don't care about invoice, payment, journal entry. You know what? There may be the odd one on a journal entry that's required, but I'm not going to pull that in this report because it'll pull all journal entries. Most journal entries don't have anything. The chances of me doing a journal entry to write something off as a bill, expense, or supplier credit is very minimal. Even when I receive from the accountant the list of transactions to deal with from the accountant, when they come in, if the accountant has something, okay, write off rent, write off something, the business fees of home, and they're including the GST, HST, I don't enter that as a journal entry. I enter that as a bill or as an expense. I would enter it as an expense at that point, not as a bill, but I will enter it that way just to make sure that we've got it proper. Credit card credit, actually that should be ticked off as well, but you can go through and you see that you can specifically select what it is you want. And here's a list of items that have that don't have HST on them. So if I wanted to pull this report out for the client and say to them, look, you told us to give you HST, but just as a reminder, you know, or to charge the taxes, just as a reminder, if you know, the government comes in and audits, they're not going to like this if you don't have, and where did it just go? I've got too many screens open. Here it is. We can just send them this report and just say, hey, look, you directed us to give you HST on this. All of the HST on all of these without the proper receipts will be declined. So if your business is the type that you do that, that you will do that by client's direction, you can just do that. So here's a quick need receipt. Thanks. Here, we don't like to do that. That's the exception rather than the rule. And we need written confirmation from the client to be able to do that. And we warn them every single time, because God knows if clients are going through, you know, a government review or audit, they're never going to remember what we told them, even if we told them 1,000 times. So we like to, you know, CYOA for sure. But that's a beautiful report that you can pull out and send to them. Excuse me. Income with no attachment over 10K. So this is one that somebody had mentioned to me. We don't really look at this, but maybe there is something. Maybe you want to look and just make sure that there hasn't been an accidental, you know, an accidental typing or something like that, entering of the number. So you can do that. And to get something like that, again, you're just going in here. Attachment is no, transaction type is invoice and sales receipt, transaction is more than $1,000, or transaction is less than, or again, let's say I wanted to do the items without attachments. We did just have CRA come in and do a discussion with us that said really anything under $100, you don't really need receipts for. So if you wanted to say, okay, we're going to look at this and the amount is more than $99.99. And so now it will get rid of anything that's $100 or less. So again, you've got a lot of flexibility with here. Cash on hand cleared to draw account. So again, we like to make sure that the cash on hand, which is, we know they're just paying out of their pocket, that's nicely cleared. So again, something like that, we're just, again, what's the GL account is cash on hand. Again, I'm looking for something zero. Journal entries. If you want a list to see every single journal entry, it's easy. Transaction type is journal entry. So now you can look and see every single journal entry and say, maybe there is something that we needed a receipt for, or we want to look a little bit more in depth for. This now gives you every single journal entry. Now you'll notice here, it gives you both sides of the journal entry in this. So if you don't want that, we just simply go under here and get rid of the split. And now we just simply only, you know, see the one side. Like we still see the both sides, but we don't see that it's a split. So again, you can see that there's a lot you can work with. So there are new messages. So I'm going to go back to messages. So Paul says Hardick and the team make everything look easy. They really, really do. And Autoreview has a new balance that should be a section. No need for the custom reports any longer. Sorry, Paul, I'm not too sure what you're talking about. I'm going to give you the option. I know that you're kind of suffering from some laryngitis right now, so I'm going to let you talk or type. Choice is yours. So you can just deal with that. I think you're looking at.
If you go up to the review expenses and go down to account balance check.
Right, this one here.
So
yes.
It's done for you.
Yes, thank you, Paul. Okay, yeah, so this is the one that, yeah, you can just see, and you're right. I now don't need these ones for the clearing and the shareholder and the all of that, because we can just enter those here and just simply, again, in the settings, what are selected, and it will show a conflict if it's, you know, if it's not zero, essentially. And then down here with an unusual balance, again, if this should have been a positive balance and it's a negative balance, it's going to show a conflict. So, you know, because, you know, our liability accounts are credit, our asset accounts are debit. If it shows the other way, we're going to see that on here. So you'll be able to pull this. So you're absolutely right with this. I haven't played with this one too much. Because of the surgery and everything that's come since then. I was trying to get everything ready so that I could go off, because as far as clients are concerned, I'm off until January, because it is this, I am supposed to be taking a 6-week recuperation, but yeah, good luck with that. We know I work a lot. But no, and this is great. So Paul's using it. So that's awesome. So thank you, Paul, for pointing that out. And that's really good. So Taya says they use a no receipt tax code if there's no document. I absolutely know a few people who do that as well. So you could just, again, pull that in here. And instead of setting that up how I've got that set up, no attachments, you could either do the no attachment, or you could change this and, just put that, the attachment is no, because maybe somebody did attach. Maybe there is an attachment that came in after the fact and it still has the no receipt code and somebody didn't correct that, because we know in Dex, you can just push through and attach it. So maybe that's exactly what they did and somebody didn't change it. So this might be a good thing to do with that, and then sort by the tax code, just to make sure there's no receipt tax codes for that. And then with Marie, I'm going to be I'll send you that webinar if anybody wants to see the CRA webinar. It was for Bootcamp and Friends, but I'm happy to share that out with anybody. I'll just send me a quick note. I'll make sure you've got the link, because I've got to read that. And we actually have Bill Poon, who is the CRA auditor since HSTK, or since GST originally came into effect. So he gave us a lot of amazing information. So yeah, so that's great. So again, I don't think I see any hands up. Nope, no hands up. So I'll just continue to go through. Down here, of course, we have the reports. We've got these regular reports, profit and loss, balance sheet, your AP aging. Like, yes, we can get these through QBO, but I have to say, when we pull these out through here on Excel, if you're presenting something to a client, they look very, very nice. So I know I did a diagnostic review for a client. Diagnostic review for a client, and I was able to it was in depth. And if I'm doing in depth and I'm charging, charging the type of price that I was charging for it, I wanted to be able to give reports that were nicer than just QBO reports. And the person receiving it was an accountant, and he actually was really impressed just simply from the looks of these. He says, "Ooh," he says, "those aren't QBO reports." And I said, "No, they're not." So it's funny how just the simple setup is absolutely noticeable through here. Yeah, so there's those. So again, same reports that we can get, but I think at the end of the day, Autoreview wants us to be able to work in here and not have to go back and forth between QBO and here. We want to be able to have us do all of these in here. Now, changes. You can do changes, because I don't think we talked about these. You can do, so let's just see here. Let's go into, is there something here? So let's say we need to go ahead and do a correction on here. Let's say maybe we're in the sales tax one, which I don't know if it's going to show properly or not. Oh, perfect. Okay, it's showing properly. So let's say there was a sales tax. Okay, it's fixed. Yay, the gremlins are gone. Thank you, Hardick and team, for getting rid of the gremlins. If they're on your side, if they're not on my side, I'm glad they're gone. So let's say we're looking at this, and the tax code, I'm just going to collapse them all. We've got 4 without. If there's nothing without, this means that it was out of scope at the transaction level, not the line level. So let's go take a look here. We've got exempt Tanya services. So that is absolutely income, but why is there something that's out of scope for income? So this should not be out of scope. Canada, we have to take care of that. Now, Hardick, this report, I can't actually click on it to edit this anymore. Oh, here we are.
So yeah, the invoice transaction are not editable yet, but if you go to the next one, which is costs and expenses, yeah, that's when you should. This particular report is not. I think something seems wrong. But if you move to the another one,
it's my
uh,
gremlin. Sorry,
yeah,
guys.
yeah, the expenses, general entries, the
Here we
checks.
go.
Yeah, I think there you go. Yeah, so
Okay.
yeah,
So let's go into this one, the shareholders no tax. We'll go in here. And again, it's not letting me edit in here as no.
You should be able to. Can you double
Edit
click on it?
transaction. Sorry, it
Yeah,
moved. The edit transaction moved. Sorry, guys. So yeah, you click here to edit the transaction. And then it pops up and you can make the correction here. So then you can go ahead and you can change this to, this should be an out of scope. And you notice here it changed. The total amount didn't change. That stayed the same, but now it's no tax. And if I save this, which I don't want to, but if I do save it, it pushes forward to QBO automatically. So we don't have to worry about that. It can push it forward and it can change. We can also do some mass reclassifications. So again, yes, we have the reclassification tool in our QBOA, but there's some here that we can do mass reclassifications on that we can't do as easily in QBO, which is great. So we could go in here and we could just select all. So I just clicked that and select all of them. And then we can pick, what do we want to do? Do we want to add, add tags to multiple ones of them? Now these tags, again, we talked about in the first one, are the auto review tags, not QBO tags. So these we're using it for internal purposes as to what we want to do internally. Do we want to, mass change the date, mass change the name, mass change the account, mass change a customer name. So there's a lot that we can do here as for a bulk edit or an individual transaction edit, which is really good. So this is a great question that I don't know if you guys could do this. So Marie's asked Hardik, can you add an attachment from auto review? So I know right now you can't, but would that capability be there to be able to add an attachment? Do you
yes,
think?
yes. That ability will soon be there because
Perfect.
yeah, we are able to do it. It's not there. So it's on roadmap. So
Okay, so then let me ask you this further question. Let's say we have, because this happens all the time, somebody will just have, their rent comes out and we just get a rent lease. So could we then, when you have that ability, would that be only on the individual transaction, or would we be able to bulk add? So let's say we want to add that lease to the full year's worth of transactions. Do you know, would that be coming on the roadmap, or if not, could it be looked into?
yeah, I mean, to be honest, I just took it as suggestion because that's not we really wanted to do. But if because generally you don't attach one document to multiple transaction, but we will definitely be considering that feature as well, just in case if anyone wanted to attach one document to multiple transaction, we should be able to do that as well. So
Yeah, because you look again with like your commercial rent or your
yeah,
commercial lease, your
got it.
car. So you're right. It's not often, but it
Yeah,
does come up, and that's one where often people just go ahead and put it in without, I know on our end, we ask for it and we
makes
have
sense.
it set up as a recurring bill with the attachment. But there's a lot of times when we're reviewing afterwards that would be nice to be able to do that.
No, makes sense. So I just took it as suggestion. So yeah, we can
Perfect.
definitely consider for that. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So Marie is also asking, can you add a project in bulk? So I don't have projects turned on my QBO, but if we did have a project turned on in QBO, could we then add a project or location or class in bulk
Yes.
through here?
So it should appear in that select customer drop down, as you can see on the top. So the project should actually show up there, and you should be able to select from there.
Okay, perfect. And it probably doesn't here because I just don't have projects turned on this QBO file, this sample QBO file.
Yeah.
So that would be why. So that's great. Because yeah, a lot of the times, again, you're forgetting, oh, how do we do all of that? Yeah. And then of course, there's a lot of bulk changes that can be done too. In auto review, or sorry, in your partner, which is Port, Zenit Port. And that's still in beta, is it for now, technically? Or is
Which one?
it a beta now?
Which one?
Port.
Oh, port. Yeah. I mean, we just kept it 1231 as beta because we just plan to do some features, but it's more like up and running kind of app. So we are coming up with some more features, and we'll kind of going full-fledged starting next year. So, but that's available for use. I think a lot of our existing users are already using it. So
Yeah, yeah. And so port, what that is that's like your, it's very similar to your bulk importer, your transaction importer, bulk deleter. But it's all in here, and you can do a lot of things. Again, a lot of bulk reclassification. So again, if you're doing cleanup jobs, you're really going to want to get looking at auto review, because you can do that. The auto review, if you can't do it in here, the bulk classification, you can do it in Port, which is their partner product. And it's beautiful for cleanups, and every single file that we come in. So using this, I do diagnostic reviews. We do it for our monthly reviews. Again, I do the quarterly reviews. It's used for year end. We use it for cleanups. And whenever we bring a client on, I do a deep dive. Once I go in and set everything up, we do a deep dive, because you're surprised at you'd be surprised at what you can find. And if you take the time and set this up and then just go back and just do a deep dive, it also will help validate to the client. If you find things, let's say they thought their other bookkeeper was doing a great job, and you find things that they weren't, it may just help validate, the type of service that they can expect from you, or maybe, help validate price increases when it does come time to increase the price. They're going to say, you know what, you're absolutely worth it, because you've been able to find, all of these things, from the file when it came over, and then make sure that that stuff stays clean from there. So again, anything that you can think of, you can go in here, the advanced search, you can use the dates, you can use names, you can use, the GL, the number, memo description, transaction type, amount, attachment, customer or job, when it was created on or by, or last modified on or by, the created by, cleared status, tags, tax amount, tax codes. You can go in and you can do so many. It's really limitless, the number of reports that you could pull when you start adding these searches. You can have pretty much almost any custom report you can think of. And again, if not, there's the fan of Zenit Auto Review. There is a Facebook page, or again, just reach out, because like I say, their team is absolutely amazing. Marissa just said she thinks I released all the elves and gremlins into auto review, because now her auto review is acting up. I'm so sorry, Marissa. Hopefully it's just a real quick glitch and it's gone. Just maybe a sign out, sign back in, clear your cache, the same stuff that we're used to hearing. So I'm just going to pop back to the slides. We've now gone through. So not the begin. So here's Zenit. So Zenit now has 3 products that they're going to be coming out with. So there's Auto Review, their flagship, Port, and then Hub is going to be released in the future. But all in all, they're absolutely great for helping us keep everything clean. The pricing is US is $7.50 per month per client file for 1 to 50, and Canada is $8.50 per month for client file. And yes, that $8.50 is CAD for those Canadians. 50 or more clients reach out because they have custom pricing. And if you are not an existing client and are watching this and want to go sign up, the promo code Tanya20 will get you 20% off the first 3 months or the first 6 months. I forget.
Six.
For 6 months. Okay, perfect. There's no annual commitment, no minimum commitment. So just as minimum as 1 client, your own practice file is completely free. There's no cost per user. So if you've got, a team with, 20 of you, you can have everybody on there as a user. You can only have certain people access to certain files. There's no additional user cost, which is really nice to know, because some apps out there do charge by user, which is really frustrating. And there's no charge by features. So there's no different levels. It's what you see is what you get. which is really, really good for this. And I love the fact that, again, there's no minimum commitment or annual commitment. So if you're just doing a diagnostic review for somebody or just a cleanup and you only need access to them for the 3-4 months, 6 months, whatever it is that you're working on the file, that's all you're charged for. When you take them off, you're not charged for them anymore when they're no longer a client. So it's really, really good for that. Cost versus benefit. So essentially you pay, the based on US is $90 per client for the whole year. You get increased scalability. The staff or your team follows the first time right concept. It saves you time by 60 to 70%. It expedites the month-end review process hugely, which in turn expedites your year-end process. And there's more focus that you can put on the growth of your business and your value-added services. So we will just see if there's any other questions, any other hands raised, anything else that you wanted to add, Hardik?
No, I think you covered it pretty well, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And then just to bring up, I see that Marie has asked if they can create a custom report to show if there are any transactions that were modified prior to a certain date. So or in a closed or filed period. So Hardik's response was not yet, but that request has come in from users and it's being discussed and considered for sure. So again, if anything that, any questions that you have, if it, doesn't do it, like I say, they're great. They'll sit there. If there's a need and it makes sense and they can do it, it happens.
Yeah, and a lot of things depend at a times even on QuickBooks API because in this particular case, I can't pull up the audit trail report directly using QuickBooks API. So what happens now is that we'll have to figure out some other ways. Like we have to literally go with the transaction history. So there are some workarounds that we have to figure out. So we did get the request from few users. So we're just trying to figure out what's the best way to do that. So.
Yeah, exactly. And that was really, that's good for bringing that up, Hardik. Thank you. That sometimes it's a technology. Sometimes you just don't have access to that through the, through the API. And therefore it's not because it's not, a valuable suggestion. It's just because it's just simply not technologically possible. For sure. For sure. Okay. That's great. So I don't see any other questions. So that's wonderful. I will send these out. Like I say, it should go out by tomorrow. Oh, we didn't ask the last poll questions. Let me throw up the last final poll question. And sorry, just 1 second here. Okay, so this is just, again, a nice, easy one that this is just going to be, did you learn something from today that will help your business? So I am launching that poll right now. So again, both poll questions must be answered in order to receive the CPD credits. So we'll give people time. So 100% yes so far, which is great. 100% answered, 100% yes, they've got value and they've learned something new today that will help their business. So that is absolutely awesome. I'll just share those results. So that's beautiful. Okay, well, thank you very, very much. And we will have a webinar next month. As usual, I don't know what our topic is going to be next month, but keep an eye out for that email. And again, the recording and any credits, CPD credits will be sent out by tomorrow evening. They will come, excuse me, I am using a new system. I'm using Flowdesk to send them out. So if you don't receive them, by Friday, look in your spam. It will come from bootcamp at mycbs.ca. It used to come from support at mycbs.ca, but now we have 2 different Flowdesk, one for the industry and one for our bookkeeping client. So we had to then create a separate email address. So just take a look or again, reach out. And then if anybody is looking again for that CRA webinar, just absolutely just email me, respond back to this, the bootcamp at mycbs.ca, reply back. I'll make sure that you have a copy. I don't have permission from them to post it on my YouTube channel, which is why that won't be, but this will absolutely be posted there. Okay, and then there's lots of thank yous from people, which is great. Thank you all for coming, and thank you, Hardik, for spending the time, and thank you again for having an absolutely amazing product.
Thank you, Tanya.
Okay, thanks everybody. Have a great week. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.